the candy store. Put the leather on the denim. I ain't the cure, I'm the venom. If you wanna find me, find the taillight. Something's coming in, you're gonna wanna take a red eye. It's time to go. It's time to go. Get ready. Get ready. Get ready. Don't blink, don't blink. Get ready. Get ready.
Magandang araw po sa inyo mga kabansa. Tayo po ay nasa episode 239. Second year, 39th episode ng Ang Maestro dito sa Katipunan channel. At ang ating pong pamagat ngayon ay Korapsyon sa Quackcom. DU30, binasag, trip ni Hontiveros. Ayan mga bansa. Ha? But first, real numbers muna tayo. The number of index crimes against persons and properties like murder, rape, robbery, and carnapping has been rising. Look at a 3-year trend. Incidents of serious crimes rose by 300% from 2012 to 2014. Yan po ang panahon ni Pangulong Noynoy Aquino. In 2012, 129 index crimes were reported. In 2013, they shot up to 458,000, while in 2014, the number rose further to almost 500,000. Ayan. But when Duterte took over in July 2016, by 2021, the crime rate was an all-time low of only 73.7%. Yan po kumparado sa last 2 years ni Noynoy Aquino, and siyempre yung progressively towards 2016 to 2021, yung pong panahon ni Duterte. No? At sabi nga ng ating dating Pangulong Duterte, ginawa ko lang ang alam kong makakabuti para sa bansa. Nung panahon ko, hindi niyo siguro nagustuhan. But yun ang style ko. Kung nagkulang ako, pasensya. Pero ang solusyon during my time was call of duty of the President. Ako yon, sabi niya. Hindi ako nakaupo lamang, nag-warning ako. Huminto kayo sa droga, Huminto kayo sa droga, bitawan niyo kasi magkakaproblema talaga kayo. Ayan. Dugtong pa ni Duterte. No? Duterte, protecting my country is my priority. Next slide. I have warned all of you, drugs will destroy the Filipino and it will destroy the country, and I will never allow it. I will do what is necessary to protect my country, my community, at yung mga anak natin. No? This is a matter of principle at pakakamatayan ko yan. Pero hindi po believe si Riza Hontiveros. At meron siyang sariling trip. Ang sabi niya, hindi ipagmamalaki kailanman ng Pilipino ang war on drugs. Pero, mga kabansa, approve sa Pinoy ang war on drugs. 88 nag-approve ng war on drugs by President Rodi Duterte. Ayan po, nasa balita, no, Iba-iba, no? Merong puntos dyan, taken by SWS naman, 82%, at meron namang dito The 78 of Pinoys satisfied with drug war. So ito ay naglalaro from 78% to 88% mga kabansa. Ha? At dito sa hearing sa Senado, no, sa susunod na slide natin, ayaw ko talaga, sabi ni Riza Hontiveros, ayaw ko talaga ng bastos. Ayaw ko lang walang hiya, lalo na pag may pinag-uusapan nating seryoso bagay na war on drugs saka extrajudicial killings. Ang sabi naman ni Duterte sa kanya, ang bastos, ma'am, walang hiya talaga ako, yan ang totoo. Inamin niya. Siguro hindi ako darating nitong pagka-presidente kung hindi ako bastos at hindi ako walang hiya. No? So, kung may kaunting edukasyon din ako, ayan, decency, yung demeanor ko, yang pinapakita ko sa inyo, yung galit ko, yung rage ko sa mga kriminal, dahil mga kabansa, siya ay pinaratangan na nagmumura sa kanyang testimonya. Pero ang sabi ng ating Pangulo, ito lang ang nakaugalian ko. This is how I speak. That is really how I am. Hindi ko kayo minumura. Hindi ko, At ano ba talaga ang legalidad pagdating dito sa, excuse me lang po, pasintabi, putang ina. Ito po ang video.
Hello, bawal ba ang magsabi ng putang ina mo sa pagdinig ng Senado o sa House of Representatives?
Hello there, this is Attorney Andrew. Uttering the words putang ina mo, which is translated to English as your mother is a whore, is not necessarily a criminal act. This is the decision of the Supreme Court in the cases of Reyes versus People of the Philippines and Pater versus People of the Philippines. In those cases, it was ruled that the expression putang ina mo is a common enough utterance in the dialect that is often employed, not really to slander but rather to express anger or displeasure. In fact, more often, it is just an expletive that punctuates one's expression of profanity. However, if this expletive is uttered in the Senate or House of Representatives, it may be considered a violation of Article 144 of the Revised Penal Code or disturbance of proceedings. This felony is committed by any person who disturbs the meetings of the Senate or House of Representatives or any of its committees or subcommittees or in the presence of any such bodies. It is also violated if a person should behave in such manner as to interrupt its proceedings or to impair the respect due to it.
So yan mga kabansa ang clarification, no? Because we have a culture, especially among Batanggenyos, Cebuanos, yung mga ganyan, that really uses invectives, no? In fact, in Ilocano, it is ukinam. In Kapampangan, it's taknida mo, and so on and so forth, no? But it is not directed to disrupt any procedure or to name call anybody. It is just an expletive. Pero sino ba mga nagpapalaki ng ulo nitong si Riza Hontiveros? Sa kanyang trip? Ito, makikita natin sa slide na ito na kay Ping Lacson pala, ay kampis siya kay Hontiveros. Kaya para sa akin, huwag nyo nang ibalik sa Senado yung si Ping Lacson. Bakit? Only one consistently and steadfastly stood up to preserve the dignity of the Philippine Senate. So, ayan, mga kabansa, her name, Riza Hontiveros. Pero, mga kabansa, alalahanin natin na itong si Pablo Lacson ang author. Siya ang author at ugat ng unmitigated corruption by Congress yan sa tinatawag na liquidation by certification, mga kabansa. Siya ho na panimula niya sa Joint Senate House Resolution. Kaya huwag naman magpakalinis itong taong ito, mga kabansa, para sa atin. No? So ito po ang first segment natin na tinatalakay ngayon. Ha? Ang pangalawa ay mas madugo pa. Dahil dito po sa Quackcom, ay nagkaroon ng isang sablay. At nalaman natin ito dito rin sa investigasyon ng Senado at sa testimonya nung magtestimonya si Presidente Duterte sa Senado. At ito po ang testimonya ng isang police officer. At ito po ang slide, mga kabansa. Ayan, makikita nyo ang puti ng buhok nitong si Colonel Grijaldo. At ito ang kanyang sinabi. Pakinggan nyong mabuti.
After answered question related to extrajudicial killings and the reward system, I was approached by a security personnel while I was seated in one of the witnesses during the hearing. The said person told me that I was summoned by Congressman Dan Fernandez. I went out of the room with the security personnel. When we were outside, he told me to go to the left corridor and proceed straight to the end room. While walking, I saw other witnesses who were standing in the corridor, including my classmate, Major Portalesa and Captain Anoba, who was wearing a PNP uniform, and the latter acknowledged me by saluting. When I entered the room, I saw two lawyers of Police Colonel Garma standing inside the room. One of the lawyers approached me and then asked me what we are going to talk about. I said, I do not know. After a while, Kong Dan Fernandez entered the room and he asked me to sit beside him on his right side. And then Kong Abante entered the room, sat far end of the chair on the right. One of the lawyers of Police Karma stood near at my back. Kong Dan Fernandez put the paper he was holding on the table and told me, ito ang sasabihin mong statement na ito. While pointing on the paragraph on the paper, ito ang supplemental affidavit ni Colonel Garma. Sabihin mo, alam mo ang reward system. I-confirm mo lang. Kong Dan told me to read the said affidavit. However, I asked the copy of affidavit he was showing to me to read it. He did not give it to me. The lawyer of Police Colonel Garma said, ikaw lang ang pwedeng magsabi niyan, sabi ni Colonel Garma. I was puzzled and I asked myself, why me? I respectfully told him that I cannot confirm. They are saying as I have not read the affidavit. We went silent for a while. And then Kong Dan Fernandez said, while holding the affidavit, saan ka pwede? Dito, noong 1999, about DDS, alam mo to, pulis ka na sa Davao nito. I politely told him that I was not still with the PNP because I was working with the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology in 1999 that time. After some time, Kong Abante asked me how many years do still I have with the PNP. I answered, I still have 4 years before my retirement. Then he made a remark, pwede ka pang maging general. I humbly responded to him, masaya na ako sa ranggo ko, sir. Pagkatapos nito, sir, uuwi na lang ako. At magtatanim na lang ako ng kamote sa amin.
Okay, we will be fair about this, and we will hear Dan Fernandez's version in this video.
Ang istorya talaga ng ganito. Kasi nung makausap namin si Colonel Garma, no, nakakausap naman namin yan kapag yung sometimes break. Ang sinabi niya na nakakaalam ng lahat ng mga nalalaman din niya ay si Colonel Grijaldo. And that's the reason why, sabi namin, sige, better di papatawag namin, iimbitahan natin, ando naman siya sa may likod, sabi ko, sige, patawag natin si Colonel Grijaldo. Baka sakali na makatulong doon sa mga sinasabi ni Colonel Garma. And si Colonel Garma naman, sabi niya, padadala daw niya yung kanyang dalawang lawyers. So lumapit sa akin yung dalawang lawyer, I forgot the name of the lawyers si Attorney Victor something And sabi ng lawyer, mag-witness sila doon sa conversation namin. So nung dumating si Colonel Grijaldo doon sa may likod, pumasok ako. Tapos andun na yung dalawang lawyer. So sinabi namin, meron ka ba nalalaman tungkol doon sa reward system na sinasabi ni Colonel Garma? So basically, umikot lamang doon yung usapan. Pero walang coercion, walang harassment, walang sinatawag na pressure sa kanya dahil andun nga yung dalawang lawyer ni sinabi niya na wala siyang nalalaman. Sabi ko ba, doon sa nung 1999 tama 'yon. Tinanong ko nasa ano ka na noon, naka-assign ka na na-assign ka ba sa Davao or something like that. Nung sinabi niyang wala, sabi ko, sige, you can go. So, walang coercion doon, walang harassment. We were just trying to find out kung yung mga sinasabi ni Colonel Gaman. Doon sa mga...
At pababayaan naman natin si Karen Davila na humugot ng bersyon ni Congressman Abante sa video na ito.
Did you and Representative Dan Fernandez instruct Police Colonel Hector Grijaldo to confirm the reward system in Davao, in effect asking him to lie?
I already made a statement that there is no truth to the accusations of Colonel Grijaldo, that I forced anyone or we forced anyone to sign any affidavit in exchange to favors or the possibility of promotions. And that is what I said in the media, Karen.
All right, but this is the point,
I do not know why-
Representative Abante. Wait,
I
I
do not
won't
know
let
why-
that go. I won't let that go just yet. What is
Yeah.
your business and Dan Fernandez's business speaking to a resource person? Why would you do that?
He was actually a classmate of Colonel Garma. And Colonel Garma asked us if we can talk to Colonel Grijaldo because he has something to say. So, na gano'n naman kami, okay, we talk to him.
But what you did was wrong. That immediately put color and bias into the resource persons. What is the business of two representatives speaking to a police colonel who is meant to be under oath, give his testimony? You should not have spoken with him.
Nakuha niyo ba yun? Kabansa. The very fact na pinatawag sila, the very fact na kinausap sila after a hearing, a public hearing, to a private consultation when they are sworn resource persons. At the mere fact na tinanong sila, whatever the question is, in the privacy of a single room, in the presence of two lawyers, yung dalawang lawyer na yan ni Garma, dapat disbar yung mga yan your mere presence there as congressman, and in the mere presence of Dan Fernandez there as a congressman, is intimidating enough. And this is what it is tantamount to, according to President Duterte himself in this video.
Alam mo ano ang ginawa nung ulol na yon? Subornation of perjury. That is a crime. Tingnan mo sa revised penal code.
Ang desisyon ng Supreme Court dito noong January 10, 1912, nasa ilalim pa tayo ng United States noon, versus Jose Lacerna, Act number, excuse me, number 1697, Section 3, any person having taken oath before a competent tribunal, officer, or person in any case in which a law of the Philippine Islands authorizes an oath to be administered, that he will testify, declare, depose, certify truly, or that any written testimony, declaration, disposition, or certificate by him subscribed is true and willfully, and contrary to such oath, states or subscribes any material matter which he does not believe to be true, is guilty of perjury, and shall be punished by a fine of not more than etc., 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 as defined in the succeeding section 4, is guilty of subordination of perjury and shall be punished as in said section prescribed. Ayan mga kabansa, wala silang lulusutan dyan. Kaya, tinatawag nila si Grijaldo. Hindi na ho ninyo makukumpel si Grijaldo na mag-testify before you dahil nag-execute na po siya ng isang affidavit which is a judicial, this now becomes a judicial issue. So anong tatanungin ninyo pa sa kanyang statement? Yung ba statement totoo o hindi? Under oath yan. And his oath na binigay ninyo sa Congress is a continuing action to the oath of his affidavit. Hindi nyo ba alam yan? Hindi na ho kailangan maging abogado. Hindi naman ako abogado, pero alam ko yan. Kaya kayong mga congressman, huwag kayong tamad-tamad dyan, nakasahod lamang kayo sa gripo. Ng kung ano yan, ewan ko kung ano yan. Anyway, tungkol dito sa EJK, tuloy natin, dahil ito ang pinatutunguhan ng Quackcom, meron ditong opinion si Deliva at testimonya that Duterte is the mastermind daw of extrajudicial killings. And this is her statement.
Say that there is no doubt in my mind that former President Rodrigo Duterte is the mastermind, as he was the instigator and inducer of the drug war killings. The drug war was implemented as an official Duterte program of government when he assumed office as president. This is undeniable, since Oplan Double Barrel is a well-documented official PNP operation plan. The consequent extrajudicial killings were also intentionally and deliberately carried out as part and parcel of Oplan Double Barrel upon Duterte's orders as president and chief executive from 2016 to 2022. These killings constitute a systematic attack on civilians and considered as a crime against humanity under international humanitarian law. For his crimes against humanity, both as Davao City mayor and Philippine president, Duterte should be prosecuted and convicted by the International Criminal Court and spend the remainder of his life in prison. We all know that there is an ongoing ICC investigation. Any investigation of the past administration's drug war necessarily has to go back to the origins and history of the Davao Death Squad from its inception in 1988 up to 2016. This is because the 2016 to 2022 drug war is a mere offshoot of the TDS experience in Davao. What basically happened was that the systematic extrajudicial killings perpetrated by then Mayor Duterte and the PNP of Davao, specifically the heinous crimes section of the Death Investigation Division of the Davao City Police Office, or HCS-DID DCPO, from 1988 to 2016 were simply replicated at the national level when President Duterte assumed the presidency and launched a national drug war.
Tinirespeto po natin ang opinion ni former Senator De Lima. Pero ito po ay without her personal knowledge. So this is hearsay. nung po siya tanungin tungkol doon sa mga mass graves sa Davao, ay hindi naman daw niya nakita, no? For some reason. Pangalawa, pagdating dito sa mga issues ng ICC, ang ibinabato nila kay Duterte from 2016 to 2022 ay 30,000 ang napatay ng EJK in a period of 6 years. Pero, mga kabansa, ang pinatunayan at na-produce lamang na corpus delicti, katawan ng patay, ay almost 7,000 lamang. So, nasaan yung 23,000 na ibang sinasabi nitong si Diliba at nitong mga bumabatikos kay Duterte? Nasaan? Aba, kung saan man sinuksok ni Duterte yan, sa mga ilalim ng mga kutsyon o sa ilalim ng mga building, pangangamoy ho yan. 23,000 corpse cadavers are missing. And yet, yan ay pinatunayan na ng Rappler sa kanilang mga reports. Why? Because Rappler is a US-funded ng Umidyar Network para siraan si Duterte. At bakit hindi ninyo husgahan yan dito sa loob ng Pilipinas? Ganun ang justice system natin is working. Ito ang statement ni Hontiveros to show to you that our justice system is working. Let us bring Hontiveros.
Chair, ang punto lang nito ay nung magsisimula ang anumang police operations, drug-related police operations, supposed to be at sinabi ng mga resource persons, merong pong manual of operations, merong continuum of force sa pag-enforce implement ng police anti-drug operation. So, ang premise is, yun na nga, arrest muna at build the case. Well, Mr. Chair, as a final word, I hope and I imagine that the Department of Justice is watching dahil ang daming admissions ng dating presidente involving criminal acts. Salamat kaayo. Kasaysayan na lang po maghuhusga. Salamat kaayo, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator
Mr.
Hontiveros.
Chair.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. President.
Nagtataka ako hanggang ngayon ang Justice Department hindi pa nag-file ng kaso hanggang ngayon. Katagal lang. Matagal ako pumapatay ng tao hanggang ngayon hindi pa sila nakapile ng kaso?
You see, wala mga kasong naka-file. But the address of Hontiveros to the Department of Justice is such that I hope they are listening. In other words, if there is something that will really implicate Duterte into the sexual judicial killings, it could be held against him. And therefore, the justice system is listening, is watching. And in fact, Abante himself, Congressman Abante himself, says, bring it on. File cases against Duterte. Ito po.
As committed to take responsibility and face the consequences of this act mandated by our laws. It is now up to the proper authorities to consider this statement carefully and ascertain the criminal liability of the responsible individuals, whether under the concept of command responsibility or conspiracy. The killings order under former President Duterte's so-called war on drugs meet all the elements of willful killing, the crime against humanity under Section 6 of RA 98. Facts are clear. Haba ito, no? First, willful killings affected thousands of civilians, with the International Criminal Court estimating between 12,000 and 30,000 deaths between July 2016 and March 29.
Yan, going back to Hontiveros, yan ang mga problema. Ha? Ang sinabi ng mga resource person, ang sinabi, hearsay po yan. Kino-quote nila ngayon, double hearsay na yan, mga kabalita. And when submitted to the judiciary, becomes triple hearsay because it was obtained from Congress, which they represent. Pero anong totoo? Eto, bumulaga sa kanila dito sa slide na ito. Dismissal of human rights petitions versus Duterte reaches finality. The dismissal of the petitions for protective writs filed by several human rights groups, where former President Duterte was included, has attained finality. Under court rules, the entry of judgment means the decision was already recorded in the Supreme Court's books and can no longer be appealed or revised. Excuse me. Ito po ang video.
Tiniyak na mismo ng Korte Suprema ang desisyon kung saan kinumpirma na ang dismissal of human rights petition laban kay dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte ay tila hindi na ito maaring buksan pa ng kahit na sino. Ibinasura ng 14th Division of Court of Appeals noong June 28, 2018 ang mga petisyong inihain laban sa dating Pangulong Duterte patungkol sa tila pagkasawi ng mga kilalang aktivista di umano. Ayon mismo sa desisyon ng Korte Suprema, tapos na at hindi na kailangang buksan pa ang kasong ito dahil bukod sa nakalagay na sa Supreme Court books ang nasabing desisyon ng 14th Division, may mga datos na magpapatunay na mahina ang mga kasong isinampa laban sa dating administrasyong Duterte. Kaya't naging final and executory ito noong April 29, 2024. Sinubukan pa ng grupong karapatan na i-revert ang nasabing desisyon ng Korte Suprema, ngunit hindi na ito pinahihintulutan pa ng pinakamataas na kapulungan dahil tapos na ang laban at tuluyan na nilang ibinasura ang mga kaso laban sa dating Pangulo na si Rodrigo Duterte.
Bakit dito sila nagkakagulo? Bakit dito sila nagkakagulo? At hindi nila imbestigahan ang mga krimen na nangyayari sa ilalim ng kanilang mga ilong. For instance, itong next slide says, Saldico pushes transfer of PhilHealth funds. The initiative will rechannel billions of dormant funds to help millions of Filipinos enjoy better healthcare and social services, and bolster economic activity by investing more in social services and infrastructure projects at no cost, no extra cost to the government. Oh, ano gagawin nila? These are contributed funds. These are private funds of a GOCC, PhilHealth. No? Tama ba ito? Ha? Mismo ito si Saldico, ang House Appropriations Committee ng Ako Bicol Party List. Ako Bicol Party List. So ano naging desisyon ng Supreme Court tungkol dito matapos sila yung maglipat na? Ha? Ang sinasabi ni Saldico, basta inauthorize ng Congress at inauthorize nila ang Secretary of Finance to do this transfer, pwede na? Hello, baka kailangan i-amenda nyo yung batas na yan bago nyo isagawa. Because ito ang desisyon ng Supreme Court. Supreme Court holds transfer of PhilHealth funds dito sa susunod na slide. At nitong October 31, nag-issue ng TRO, Temporary Restraining Order, on the transfer of excess funds. No? The challenge ang return of almost 90 billion of excess reserve funds. Alright? Pero directly apektado, ang natitira pang 30 bilyones at malamang pababalikin ang 60 bilyones na nailipat na sa Treasury in 3 tranches since May. Oh, meron bang batas na nag-aatas dito? Ha? Meron ba? Oh, former Finance Undersecretary Shelo Magno, who filed the first petition questioning the transfer with Mr. Pimentel, Senator Pimentel, that is, said they're hoping that the top court would declare the funds as unconstitutional and allow their plea for status quo ante order for the return of the 60 billion. At in-schedule po ang oral arguments next year na sa January 14, 2025. Binabanggit po natin ito dahil grabe na po. Ang dapat investigasyon ay dapat mismo yung mga kasama nila sa Kongreso. Unang-una na ito mismo si Saldico na chairman. No? At pakita natin kung ano dito sa next slide. May blind item po na lumabas na isang helicopter Bell 429. Ha? $7 million US dollars. Ha? Or almost 400 million pesos. Ha? Ayan, mga kabansa, sino may-ari niyan? Meron pang jet, 45 million US dollars, Gulfstream G500 jet. Ha? So, sino naman congressman na may bagong acquired na brand new helicopter Bell 429 at Gulfstream G500 private jet plane? At sinong congressman ang may pag-aari, mga kabansa, ng samot-saring contractors, companies in layers, merong advance na magbibid, may secondary na magbibid, may tertiary na magbibid, sila-sila lang yan, paikot-ikot lamang. At accordingly, allegedly rather, that this man controls about 66% of all contracts of the government. Isang tao lamang po yan. Tungkol sa korupsyon sa Kongreso, ito po ang bumulaga, kabayan. Pakita natin ang video kung ano ang pinagkakaabalahan ng mga tao dito sa Kongreso, and some of them are in the Quackcom. Ito po.
Kayo, pasok sa Congress, mag-eleksyon, nanalo, Seiko, paglabas niyan, pagkatapos, Rolex na. Pumunta ng Malacanang, nakatamaraw, paglabas niyan, nagka-Mercedes-Benz. Busog kayo lahat. Tingnan ninyo yung mga bahay noon ng mga congressman at tingnan ninyo ngayon kung ano kayaman sila, lalo na yung mga bahay nila sa Maynila. Mga wala kayong prinsipyo, mga putang ina ninyo. Tang ina kung mabalik ako, arestuhin ko kayo lahat.
Pero sa ngayon sa ating bagong Pangulo, the Philippines is safer and the people are more secure than they were ever under Marcos. Under Marcos, Malakaya, contrary to claims of President Duterte, Bersamin, our Executive Secretary, Lucas Bersamin, said statistics from the Philippine National Police show the complete opposite. Bakit po? Kinumpara nila yung statistics ng first 2 years ni Bongbong Marcos versus the first 2 years of Duterte. Hindi po ganyan ang gumagawa ng comparative analysis. Hindi po ganyan. Yung trend po dahil binitawan, di ba kanina sinabi natin, halos 500,000 cases ang nasa kaso ni Aquino. Di ba sabi natin kanina? Pero yan ay bumaba ng bumulusok yung ganon noong 2021. So ito hong 2019 to 2022, ang dapat ikumpara ninyo, the last 2 years of Duterte versus the first 2 years of Marcos. Ha? Alam naman yung first 2 years ni Duterte, ikukumpara nyo sa first 2 years ni Marcos, pinababa na kaya ni Duterte. Ano ba klase namang mathematics meron kayo? Ha? Oh. At tama si Presidente Duterte sa susunod na slide. It is unfortunate that drug-related crimes are on the rise again. Every day you read about children being raped, people getting robbed and killed. Marami pong bata nawawala. For the first time, ang dami ko nakikita sa social media. Huh? This clearly manifests the purveyors of the menace are back in business. No? Are we really safe? When, on the contrary, 5 billion trade deficit, the widest in 20 months. Mga kabansa. The widest in 20 months. At yung ating growth rate, bumagsak na ho. A little over 5%. Ang ating projection, over 6% nitong third quarter. So, anong ginagawa ni Marcos dito sa atin? Aba, ay mga kabansa, according to the next slide, ginagawa tayo talagang mas mahirap pa under Marcos. At yan ang pananaw ng 59%, the highest in 16 years. 60% of our people, rounding it off, consider themselves poor. And fewer Pinoys says quality of life have improved according to SWS. So are we really safer under Marcos? Next slide, please. Sabi ni Benjamin, there have been a widespread decline in the crime across the board. Moreover, we have achieved stability and maintained peace and order in our country without foregoing due process or setting aside the basic human rights of any Filipino. Patama doon sa war on drugs ni Duterte. Na hindi naman totoo. All this show that our country is safer, our people more secure, and our few. Well, the people does not agree with you. Nung panahon ng Yolanda, more than 6,000 dead, about 2,000 missing. Ang lakas ng bagyo, 315 kilometers. Nung panahon ni Duterte, malakas pa rin ang bagyo. Rolly, 20 lamang ang namatay at 3 missing. Pero dito sa Christine, mga kabasa, nakamakailan lamang. Napakabagal ng bagyo, 146 dead, 91 injured, 3 missing. Kaya sabi ni Kinilaw, sasatawa ako dito sabi dito ni Kinilaw, Kinilo. Sabi ko na nga wala naman akong master's at PhD degrees pero malinaw pa sa tubig sapa, nahirap pa rin tayo tuwing may darating na sakuna tulad ng bagyo. Pero may pera tayo pambili ng 40 multi-role fighter jets para pagtripan pa ng Department of Defense na bilhin. Mga Pilipino, hirap sa disaster preparedness sa pag-aaral ng Harvard, mga kabansa. So, pinaimbestigahan na ho ni Duterte, ni Escudero, I'm sorry. Pinaimbestigahan na ho ni Escudero kung ano talaga ang nangyayari sa bansa natin. Dahil inayos na ho yan ni Gloria Macapagal Arroyo dahil sa experience natin sa Undoy. At sino ang Department of Defense Secretary niya? Aba, hindi ho ba yung kalbo na si Gibo Chodoro? But Gibo Chodoro did well. Pinag-aralan nila yung national Disaster Coordinating Council. And they found out that the MDCC only moves pagdating ng bagyo. So gumawa sila ng bagong batas, which is now the NDRRMC, National Disaster Risk Reduction Management Council, na may apat, no? May technical, may disaster preparedness, merong response, at merong rehabilitation. And all these five, including the top, which is the Secretary of National Defense, functions as the council, mga kabansa. Wala pa ang problema, nandoon na ang NDRRMC. Kaya nagbigay lang malaking appropriation si Duterte sa Pag-asa para sa weather forecasting. Abay, gago itong huwag niyo iboto yan, ha, mga kabansa. Yung si Francis Tolentino. Gusto ba patanggal yung ano? Tama naman yung forecast yan sa Christine. Si Tolentino talaga hindi ko maintindihan kung saan pupulutin yan. Huwag niyo iboto yan. Ha? Biniblame niya ang Pag-asa? Tama naman. Medyo naligaw daw. Dahil lumiko. Hindi ho lumiko ang bagyo. In fact, ang signal number 2 nasa Catanduanes, while all the rest had signal number 1. Saan ho ba Catanduanes? Di ba sa Bicol? Bakit sinabi niyo lumiko pa ka na ng bagyo? Ang Quezon. Tinamaan ho muna ang Bicol, ang Catanduanes, diretso sa Bicol, bago ito umakyat. So there is nothing wrong with the Pag-asa report on Christine. And that's why Escudero is calling for a probe. As the country reels from the aftermath of severe tropical storm Christine and super typhoon Leon, President Marcos has expressed openness to an investigation into the administration's flood control projects, right, citing the need to improve existing designs to address the unprecedented effects of climate change. Ang ganda na naman, mga kabansa, ng pambubulata sa atin. Ha? Pero mamaya lang, sasabihin natin kung saan talaga nagkaroon ng problema. Because sa panahon ni Duterte, ang NDRRMC, 2 to 3 days before, nandoon ako sa ground zero. Bakit ngayon, 2 days after, pumasok sa ating area of responsibility ang Christine. Saka lamang nagpatawag ng command conference si Marcos. In other words, si Marcos at ang kanyang chairman ng NDRRMC are still functioning under the guidelines of the NDCC. Just like Aquino could not adjust to the NDRRMC, hindi niya mailagay in place. Pero Duterte was able to do that. In fact, it's Duterte who modernized our disaster response capability. And kagibat yan, modernized our Philippine Coast Guard from 8,000 to I think about 40,000 now. 30,000, 32,000 nung umamit. 30 to 40,000. Late last month, Senate President Francis Escudero said he expects an intense scrutiny of the government's flood control programs when the Senate starts its plenary debates on the proposed 2025 budget next year. Ayan na, mga kabansa. Kakabistuhan na, ang sabwatan, mga kabansa. Alam pa sumali ni Marcos, said people should understand that the issue is not just about budget, but also the science of the ongoing phenomenon and climate change. Ulitin ko, Marcos said people should understand that the issue is not just about budget. Well, Mr. President, that is contrary to what you told the press conference. right after your command conference. At ito ka, you're caught on tape lying again. Sinungaling kang haba na ng ilong mo. Baka umabot na sa lawag ang ilong mo. From Malacanang in Pasig River. This is what you said, and you are caught in video.
So the other departments seem to be well prepared. We have some budgeting issues simply because na meron tayong napakarami ang dumadaan na bagyo. Hindi bale, but that's not something that we should worry about because we will be able to remedy that kagad. As soon as we can get in, as soon as makapasok kami.
Oh, budgeting issues, Mr. President. Ang dami niyong pinamumundmon na pera. May pambili ng bigas, Martin Romualdez rice. In fact, you added more than 1 trillion to the budget para lamang sa pork barrel at pagmumundmon ng ayuda for the 2025 elections. And yet, bakit hindi makarating ang Armed Forces of the Philippines 2 to 3 days sa ground zero before the typhoon hits ground? Walang budget, budgeting issues, because the trucks, the airplanes, and the ships need fuel. They need mobilization funds to be able to prepare to arrive there early so that the evacuations could be laid down. You are so after the fact, Mr. President. My goodness. Aba, ay galit na. Galit na. Ang ordinaryong tao sa iyo. Galit na. At hindi ako nambobola rito. O ito, hindi ito analysis ng isang political and geopolitical analyst like me. Ng isang dating subject matter expert ng national security under Hermogenes Esperon. Hindi ito galing sa isang consultant ni Delphine Lorenzana sa area na critical review pagdating sa elimination of communist armed conflict or ELCA. Hindi rin ito galing sa isang communication experts who was also a consultant to Martin Landanao during the time of Duterte. Pakita nyo naman kung paano namin minodernize ang RP, TV, PTV, at Radyo Pilipinas 1, Radyo Pilipinas 2, FM 1, FM 2. Hanggang ngayon, makikita nyo sa atin. Nagtulong-tulong kami dyan. Pati format. At one time, we were even number 3 station all over the country. Pinakamasamang rating na namin sa Radyo Pilipinas ang maging number 7. Pero nasan ngayon? Nasaan ngayon kayo? You are always after the fact. Kaya galit na sa inyo ang taong bayan, and ordinary Pinoys are debunking you and your cousin's fund management.
Biruin mo, lubog.
O yan, pumapasok na sa galit, biglang pumasok. O, di papasukin na natin. Ngayon.
Kung na sa baha, I love BBM pa rin. Dapat yung katangan, ginagawang krimen. Kung hindi ikulong, bitayin. Dalin sa Congress, pakain sa buhaya kay Martin. Kasagsagan ng bagyo, nakuha pang magpagawa ng tarpaulin. Halos magkandalunod na kami sa baha habang ikaw nagpapagawa ng tarpaulin. Habang nagsisisigaw kami ng tulong, yung sako ng bigas tinatatakan niya ng Martin. Kulang na lang ultimo butil ng bigas tatakan niya ng Martin. Kaya pala papahupain muna yung baha kasi hindi pa sila tapos gumawa ng tarpaulin. Saka bakit mo tatatakan ng pangalan mo yan, hindi mo naman pera yan? Ano yun, bago kayo tumulong, hihintayin pa namin matapos yung buwisit na tarpaulin na yan? Alam mo, Martin, ang sarap mong palanguyin sa mura. Paulanan ng real talk tapos ihagis sa baha.
Sa
Sa gitna ng matinding pagbaha sa Bicol Region, gustong malaman ng ilang senador kung saan napunta ang umano'y bilyon-bilyong pisong pondong inilaan para sa flood control projects.
Ito na yata ang pinaka-worst na government pagdating sa funds. Maharlika funds, flood control funds, PhilHealth funds, tapos sasabayan pa ng mga tangamong funds. Kawawang mga taga Bicol kahit sino mapapasyet. Habang yung representative nilang si Saldico nalulunod sa budget. 61 billion nilaan sa Bicol, sabi ni Villanueva, kaya nasa na yung project. Huwag ka nang tumanggi, mismong kalikasan na yung nag-fact check.
In 2023, sa DPWH alone, 29.4 billion ang budget. This year, for Bicol Region 2024, ang budget for flood control ng DPWH ay 31.9 billion. So 2023 and 2024, meron kang 61.42 billion.
Guys, wala na talaga yung Pilipinas, sirang-sira na. Binaboy na ng mga buhaya. Yung mga matitinong tao, galit na galit na. Yung mga bangag sa kriminal na lang yung mga natutuwa. Sino ba representative ng Bicol?
Ako.
Sino may hawak ng budget?
Ako.
Sino dapat sisihin?
Ako.
Buti alam mo.
Naglaan kami na napakalaking halaga. Umaabot ng halos 420 billion kung tutuusin. Aabot, siguro papatak ng 1.4 billion a day ang budget sa flood control. Saan napunta lahat yan? Yan ang masaklap.
Hoy, plastic, ba't kami tinatanong mo? Ang tanungin mo, yung bobo mong kapatid sa yung pinsan mo. May saklap-saklap ka pang nalalaman, sila sisihin mo. Kung talagang nagmamalasakit ka sa mga Pilipino, yung kapatid mo sa kapinsan mo, kasuhan mo. Hindi yung daldal ka ng daldal dyan sa media, wala ka namang ginagawa. Kunwari galit sa kapatid saka sa pinsan, hindi naman pala. Pangunahan mo yung hearing tapos patawag mo yung presidente. Hindi yung pasasakayin mo na naman kami sa balat ng mani. Alam mo na palang may nawawala, wala ka pang ginagawa. Binoto ka ng taong bayan para mag-imbestiga, hindi puro dada. Hindi mo mahahanap ang sagot kung puro ka lang ngawa. Lubog na nga tayo sa utang, lubog pa sa baha.
Pinalaga naman niya ni Ako Bicol Party List Representative Zaldico. Wala raw katotohanan ng umano'y bilyon-bilyong pisong flood control budget para sa Kabikulan.
Ang ina niya.
Basta talaga pambubudol, master nyo. Tapos kunwari may i-raid na warehouse ng bigas, wala namang nakakalaboso. Hindi kaya yung smuggler ng bigas isa sa inyo? Kasi lahat ng sako ng bigas may pangalan nito. Partida kasama pa yung aso niya si Tulfo. Bakit ba laging kasama mo to? Sa farmer's kubaw kasama mo. Sa warehouse ng bigas kasama mo. Paano ka namin isusumbong kay Tulfo kung pati si Tulfo kasama mo? Wala na tayong pagsusumbungan, guys. Kasama niya na lahat. Iba talaga pag may hawak ng pondo. Dinidikitan ng lahat. Papunta naman ako sa'yo. Bakit pati tong taong to? Itong taong to pati sa travel sinasama mo. Biruin mo si Mark Anthony Sayarot sa New York, sinama pa neto. Baliktad na ngayon, bagong Pilipinas, kaya yung kriminal protektado. O Igan, pasok!
Ayan, mga kabansabe, kapalit na ako dito. Wow, pati ako natalbugan yan. Ha? Grabe. Kaya sinasabi ko mga kabansa, we don't really have to be a person of privilege or high education to be able to appreciate what is really happening to our country general. What is really happening to our country general? Which was the question of Emmanuel Pelayes when he was shot. At siya'y dinadala papasok sa surgery. Dumating si General Karingal at siya'y kinumusta. Binulungan niya, General, what is happening to our country? Well, this lady knows what is happening to our country. But does the president know what is happening to our country? Does the president know what he is actually doing on the advice of the people around him? Aba, Mr. President, By the way, Mr. President, bye-bye Biden ka na. Yung ironclad commitment mo sa Estados Unidos, gumagewang-gewang na. No? At mukhang ang barko ng Democrat ay lumubog sa eleksyon na naganap sa Estados Unidos. So you better prepare for President Trump, who is a BFF of President Duterte. Hanggang dyan na lamang po tayo sa ating episode 239 na pinamagatang Korapsyon sa Quackcom, DU30, binasag ang tweet ni Hontiveros. Maraming salamat po.